But as the ball gets headed out, comes right back to Reece James. He plays Palmer. He is now finally going to make that run I've been talking about. Chelsea had a very crucial come-from-behind victory against West Ham. They won 2-1, but there was a major issue for Chelsea that made them entirely impotent in attack. So let's take a look at what that was. Welcome to Campfire Football. I'm Sebastian North. Graham Potter had West Ham set up with 3 center backs, 2 wing backs, 2 holding midfielders, 2 attacking midfielders, and a lone striker. And they played very, very deep, which allowed Chelsea to make runs forward. Now, one thing that we see frequently from Chelsea is that Cucurella was making underlapping runs whenever Sancho would get the ball. This also does happen on the other side. Nani Madueke would sometimes get the ball, and Enzo would make this underlapping run quite frequently. He almost scored from it once. There is just one extra piece that needs to happen, and that is Reece James. He needs to be more dynamic with his running, either overlapping or underlapping, and getting into better positions to cross, because Reece James was frequently at about this angle. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how those things kept materializing and really what the change was that gave Chelsea the opportunity and platform to go and turn the game around. Now, Enzo Maresca has gotten a lot of flack lately for not changing things early enough in games. I think in this match he absolutely did. But let's take a look at how things started off in the first half and some of the tactics that he wants to employ. So Cucurella loves to make these underlapping runs. Sancho, super wide. That means there's a lot of space in this central area, and Cucurella is going to run off the back of Kudus. Sancho does well to play the ball into him. Enzo Fernandez would do the same thing on the other side, and here he almost scored a goal. So Chelsea profiting off a crazy volley by Kudus to try and fight. I don't really know what he was doing, but he gives the ball completely away. Nani Madueke gets it, and you can already see Enzo Fernandez darting in. He's ahead of the midfielders. Madueke takes one more touch, plays a nice little ball into Enzo, and he just catches it a little bit too much with the ankle, and it goes wide. That is what Chelsea want to do, especially on the break. When teams drop a little deeper, what you need is someone who can crack that open with terrific delivery, and that's Reece James. I mean, he has it. So what you're going to see here is a couple crosses. First off, Nani Madueke has the ball. Reece James in a nice little position. Madueke rolls it back to him so that Reece James can hit this cross in, and the cross is very good. I mean, it's in a dangerous area, but it's Cucurella and Jadon Sancho attacking it. Not really ideal, and so that one petered out. But we had another example. Tosin looks up. Now, here's a theme that you would have. Reece James is asking for the ball in this narrow area, and if I'm Tosin, I look at him like, yeah, that doesn't do anything for me, man. I need you wider, because we want to move the West Ham defense. If you play the ball to Reece James there, he does not change anything about their behavior or their movement or who they're marking. Tosin does the right thing and just decides, I'm going to go out wide, because that forces West Ham to move. Madueke gets the ball, and 2 players collapse on him. This is what West Ham did all day. So Madueke takes a look up, plays it back to James, who can once again play this ball in. The problem is that the Chelsea players are all already so high that when this cross gets played in, Nico Jackson is actually offside. Cucurella is the one trying to jump between 2 giants, and again, he is sort of looking back towards the ball. It's not the easiest header to direct, and so it goes out of play. Same kind of issue would happen on Sancho's side. Now, as I said, Cucurella loves to make those runs inside. So here, Cucurella, you can see him in the box, and really what he should do is come out here a little bit to force a defender to follow him. Instead, he decides to stay in there. And so Sancho is 1v2. Now, Reece James, as I said, he has an incredible delivery, but once again, take a look at his position here. He's square to Tosin and 5 yards away from him. Like, I don't know what this ball does. It doesn't accomplish anything. Tosin can easily just wait for Enzo to get out of the way and zip this ball out to Madueke. Instead, it goes into Reece James. He does that and plays the ball out, but Madueke is 1-on-2. And so something needs to happen. There needs to be a run either out into the channel that Madueke can play in, but now everything is plugged up. There really is nowhere to go. Now, this was the most egregious moment of the first half from Reece James. Take a look at Cole Palmer here. I don't even know how many touches he takes in this play. I do think right here, play it to Madueke and continue your run. Instead, Cole Palmer really is looking to take responsibility of this himself. But look at Reece James standing completely still, watching Cole Palmer jink left and right. Get yourself a little bit wider so that when you receive this ball, you can whip one in that everyone can run onto. But Reece James standing in this position does nothing. Madueke gets the ball. He tries to do his thing by jinking back and forth, ends up playing it to Cole Palmer again, and Reece James still standing behind Cole Palmer watching him. Now, everyone is basically standing still. There's one obvious place. Reece James overlap. This ball can get played by Palmer, and you can whip it in first first time. Instead, look how long. I mean, it goes to Caicedo, back to Palmer, now to Reece James, but the only player making a run is Cucurella. And he sees that and decides, well, I'll get it to Madueke. Madueke tries himself to make something happen, and West Ham clear. It ends up right back with Reece James, and this time, after chesting it, he goes ahead, settles it, and whips it in. But as the ball gets headed out, guess what? Comes right back to Reece James. He plays Palmer. He is now finally gonna make that run I've been talking about. Goes forward, asks for it ahead of him. Now look at the angle that he's got, and look at the way the player's behavior changes. Cucurella and Sancho making leaning runs forward. Nico Jackson is now actually in front of the goal. But that cross is super dangerous. It goes to show you how much better of a setup that is than what Chelsea were doing. So we get to the second half, and this theme would just keep on going. Look at Reece James's position here. I think he needs to be out in this area because it is a complete mess of players inside. Reece James, he's just pointing, play the ball out there. Well, Reece, you need to make a run here. Because Madueke is so wide, Reece can just go ahead and run underlap and maybe drag someone with him. But watch, Reece James just kind of stands still, and as the ball gets to Madueke, he's like, all right, I'm going to take this guy on. But a second player comes over, and it's 1v2. Now, once again, Madueke here needs support. Madueke is isolated 1v1 for the moment, but West Ham get into shape. No one makes the underlapping run, so the ball has to go into Reece James. Now, watch his touch right here. He is too predictable. When he stops it, everyone for both teams just kind of stops as soon as he does that. Nothing is on, and so Reece James takes a look up and decides to go the other way. So Chelsea's staleness was so obvious. First of all, Reece James, I don't understand how you end up behind the line of the ball here. I mean, your center back is able to step so far forward because the other team has dropped off. Get up. So as Tosin walks forward, he decides, I don't have anything. So he goes back to Caicedo. If Reece James is out here, he pulls Soler with it, which then might open up a ball into Fernandes. And if Soler is not there, it's a 3-on-3 for Chelsea with the West Ham players here. But Reece James is so narrow that West Ham can also stay narrow. So as Caicedo gets the ball and plays it out to Madueke, in my opinion right here, should immediately go and try and take on the defender. But because he takes his time, a second comes over, and Chelsea are not able to build a meaningful chance here. So then Enzo Maresca makes his move. Chelsea subs come in. Madueke comes off for Nkunku. Neto goes over to the right side, and Malo Gusto comes on for Reece James. And that was the key. That is what created the goals. So as Tosin gets the ball and plays it into Caicedo, Caicedo turns. Watch Malo Gusto here. He goes forward and asks for it ahead of him. So ahead of the ball, wider than Reece James already was, and immediately it's a 2-on-2 in a more advanced area. So Malo Gusto plays the ball out to Pedro Neto. As Neto has the ball, he takes a look up, realizes he's 1v2, and although Gusto is open, here Neto was able to create the space for himself to whip that ball in. It ends up going through the whole crowd. Cucurella is able to pull it back. Fernandes takes the shot. Gusto thinks it's in. It is once Neto gets there. Well done by Neto to follow inside after he crossed the ball, and he deserves the goal. Now, Reece James, because of his injury problems, he's not making those runs anywhere near as much. But Malo Gusto will do that. But I just want to show you how these underlapping and overlapping runs can cause so many problems. Here, Enzo goes ahead and makes the underlap first. Neto goes inside. Gusto realizes it. He makes the overlapping run. And now it's a 3-on-2 over here. Neto decides not to play it to Gusto, but he has Fernandes as an option. Then Gusto gets back on side. Now it's out to Neto. A third player from West Ham comes, and so there is now more space in the central area. And this right here is the game winner for Chelsea. Ball goes out to Pedro Neto. So remember earlier, I said that when Reece James received the ball, he just kind of stopped it with the bottom of his right foot. And so the West Ham players all knew that they were in a good position, and all the Chelsea players completely stopped. Well, watch what happens when you receive with your back foot, open yourself up, and make sure you can cross this ball right away. That is what you want. Players are loaded in the box. Won by West Ham first. Cucurella tries to lob it back in. Cole Palmer cuts the ball back in onto his right, tries to shoot, and it gets blocked. Now, Malo Gusto, from when he crossed, stayed in the same area to be able to counter press. Kudus is able to kick the ball in the air, and Gusto wins that first header. Now, Enzo Fernandez and Pedro Neto also do a very good job defensively here by running back. Neto's the first one to get a tackle in, and a second one. He loses that one, but Fernandes is there. They win the ball together, and because this is a moment of transition, Neto has plenty of space, and he whips the ball in, goes out to Cucurella on the far side, but once again, it's going to end up at Cole Palmer's feet. He drives past one, is able to get the shot off, and unfortunate for Wan-Bissaka that this goes off his heel and goes into the net. But Chelsea get the goal, they get the win, and this is a massive victory for them. But man, is it annoying to watch players who clearly have underlapping and overlapping runs that they should do to destabilize the opponent just kind of stand there. And frankly, the problem was staring everyone right in the face. So I hope you enjoyed this breakdown. Thanks for stopping by. I'm Sebastian North. This is Campfire Football. Take it easy.